Kesley. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to make a card with your Cricut machine. Let's head into Design Space. To get started, we need to create a new project. Along your header, all the way to the right, click the green box that says New Project. A fresh canvas will show up. To get creating, we're going to start by adding images. Over on the left side is our Insert panel. I'm going to select the image icon, which will take me to the entire Cricut Design Space library. As the images load, I can think about what I want to make. I'm going to make a motivational card. So I'm going to look for a good phrase, something like, "You got this." Once you've typed in your search phrase, it narrows down your choices. Select an image you like. You know you've selected it because the box will be highlighted with green. Then you go to the bottom of your screen and select Insert Images. This will place the image on your canvas where you can start editing. The first thing I like to do is edit the size of my project. I know I want my finished project to be a 4.5 by 5.5 inch card. So I'm going to edit my size. My lock proportion is on. I'm going to turn that off so I can change the width and the height independently. I'd like my width to be 4.5 inches, and I'd like my height to be 5.5 inches. There we go. Perfect. Let's change the color of our image to something bright and cheery that will be motivational. I go back up to my edit bar to the color square. I click on the color square and some color options show up. I think I'd like to do something in a bright blue. There are advanced features here where you can set the specific color or change your hue and saturation. But today I'm going to keep it simple. So this could be a nice little card to give to somebody. Just slip it in an envelope, write a little love note on the bottom, and you're good to go. I'd like to make mine a folding card. To make this into a folding card, I need a front and back. First, I'm going to duplicate my image. On your mouse, right-click and select Duplicate. Now you have two of the very same thing. I'd like the back of my card to be solid, so I'm going to remove my cut lines. To do that, I go to the Layers panel to the bottom and I select Contour. Contour pulls up your entire image with all your cut lines. By selecting Hide All Contours, it will hide all the cut lines and turn this shape solid. So hide all contours and close this window to get back to your card. Now, the back of my card will be a solid rectangle. I'd like to place an insert into the card. As you can see the front of the card, the graph shows through. That tells me that that's where cut lines will be. So if I plan to write on the inside of my card, you might see it. To create the insert, I will duplicate my back piece. Again, highlight, select your image, right-click, duplicate. There we go. Now I have the insert for my card. And I probably will print that in a contrasting color, something monochromatic. And I'll select a light blue. Perfect. Now I have the back of my card, the front of my card, and my card insert. I think I'd like to make my card insert a little bit smaller than the actual card size. So to do that, I will change the width to 4.25. As you noticed, I kept my proportion locks on. So whatever I did to the width also happened to the side. To make this a folding card, we need to put these two pieces together, the back piece and the front piece. The easiest way for me to line them up is by using the position feature on the canvas. I'll take the back of my card and put it on the 1-inch x-axis. So I go to the edit bar, I highlight the x-axis and I make it 1 inch. And that moves it right over. Coming across my card, it ends at the 5.5 inch x-axis. So that's right where I would like this card to go. Now those cards are lined up right next to each other. I also want to make sure that the tops are aligned before I weld them. So I highlight both the back and the front cards. I go to Align and I align the top. Now it's time to weld. So I again select the back and the front of my cards. I come to my Layers panel. On the bottom, I would like to select Weld. There we go. Now I have a card that will fold in the middle. But to make it even easier, I can go ahead and add a score line down the center of the card. If you don't have a scoring tool, skip inserting the score line. So I go to my Insert panel, to Shapes, to Score Line. And this will insert a score line right on my canvas. I can move it around and resize it. So I know I'd like it to be as long as the fold in my card is. About like that. And the middle of my card is a 5.5 inch x-axis. So let's move that score line over to the 5.5 inch x-axis there. Right in the middle. Now the last thing I need to do to ensure that the score line happens on my card is I need to attach the score line to the card. So I highlight both images, I go to my Layers panel, and I select Attach. Now when I send it to my Cricut, it will not only cut it, but it will score it. So let's see what that looks like. Click the Make It button in the top right corner. Here's my insert piece. It cuts on its own mat because it's a different color. And then here is my card piece, and it will score first, and then it will do the basic cut, all in one pass. Okay, let's send it to our machine. So we go to the Make screen where you select which device you'll be using. I'll be using the Air 2. I like to select my materials, so I'll browse all materials. I'm going to be making my card out of a cardstock, more of like a medium weight cardstock. So I'll select medium weight cardstock and done. Now if I use this a lot, I can put a gold star next to it so it will show up in my favorites list. My pressure will be normal, whatever the machine recommends, and once I load my mat into my Cricut, it'll be ready to cut. If you don't have the scoring tool, you won't see this step because we skipped inserting the score line. Open Accessory Clamp A. Insert the scoring stylus into the accessory adapter until you hear it click and the arrow disappears. Then close the clamp. For the maker, you will use the single scoring wheel. To load the mat, place the mat underneath the mat guides and press it against the rollers. Press the load and unload button. When your Cricut light lights up, it's ready to cut. Press the button to start. Once all functions are complete, the load/unload button will flash. Push the button to release the mat from the machine. The second cut is already queued up. All we need to do is load the next mat. The load/unload button will flash again, indicating it's ready to load the second mat. Once you've loaded the second mat, the Cricut light will flash. Press that to start your second cut. After the second cut is complete, press the load/unload button to release the mat. Now we can begin assembling the card. To remove the paper from the mat, turn the mat so the paper is face down on your work surface. Hold down a corner of the paper and roll the mat off the paper. This prevents the paper from curling. When working with small pieces, they may still be on the mat. Use the spatula tool to lift materials from the cutting mat. If you're careful, you can save the materials and make a second card. Remove any extra pieces that are attached to the card with a gentle tug. The scoring line helps the card fold nicely. The last step is to glue the insert inside the card. You can use any type of paper adhesive. I'm using an Elmer's glue stick. The disappearing purple helps me see where my glue goes on the paper. Run the glue stick around the edge of your design. Place a dab on any extra little pieces. I like working on a self-healing mat. It's easy to clean and I don't get glue on my work table. Next, attach the insert piece to the inside of the card. And there's your card. You got this.